Alright, I'm here to talk about a new film, a new independent film that is called Backrooms. So if you don't know what Backrooms is, it is based on a web series, an analog web series developed by Ken Parson, who is also the director of this film. So he translates the thing that he created into a big screen, into a film. And I myself, I don't know a lot of things about Backrooms, alright? I know what a liminal space is, but I don't understand the mechanism, the concept of Backrooms and what makes it so special and so popular. I don't know the lore behind Backrooms. But I was pretty interested when they announced that this was gonna be a film, adapted into a film. I was really interested, especially knowing the concept, a little bit of the concept of a backroom that is just, a white big space, a yellow room, essentially. What intrigues me the most is how they would, create a story around the concept of a backrooms. Because if you know backrooms don't really have a story or a linear storytelling. And so when you're adapting that into a film, you have to have a protagonist, a character arc, a storyline. And after watching it, man, this film is really interesting and atmospheric. So let me brief you the story of this. So the story of the film revolves around Chiwetel Ejiofor's character. He is the owner of a furniture store, and he is living desperately. He broke up with his wife, and he seeks help from the psychiatrist. So now these two characters are the main characters of the film. But the first chunk of the film focuses on Chiwetel Ejiofor's character as he discovers that there is something behind the wall of his rental store, and that is the backrooms. Alright, so he just touches the wall and he transports himself into the backrooms. Now the thing is, sometimes you can't get out of the backrooms, alright, but some other time you are trapped in there. And for Chiwetel Ejiofor's character, he reached the point where there's no return. And so during the midpoint of the film, the psychiatrist, played by Renate Reinsave, she seeks him out. She comes by his furniture store to find where he is, and that ends up with her trapped into the backrooms as well. Now by this point, Chiwetel Ejiofor's character has become kind of the sympathetic villain of the story, and this is where I want to praise the performance of Chiwetel Ejiofor. I think he is perfect, amazing. He gives a really sympathetic performance, a really emotional performance to get you behind who he is and what he has gone through. And when he becomes a villain halfway into the film, it is really surprising. And it really is interesting because for the first chunk of the film, you are, rooting for this guy. And then over a sudden, he becomes the villain and is now threatening the psychiatrist. By that point, the psychiatrist becomes the main character as he has to escape backrooms. Now, this concept here is very interesting, and how they build up a story around the mythos of the backrooms. I really like how they do it, and also the concept itself, it is really atmospheric, and I will give Ken Parson credit for this. He is really good at making this film atmospheric, and you will constantly get the feeling of, alright, something, but I don't know what it is, something will chase me, something will haunt me in this backrooms. I don't know what it is, I don't know when it's gonna come out, but when it does, in the climax of the film, it really is satisfying to watch. This is an interesting climactic change because it still ties into the backstory of Chiwetel Ejiofor's character, and also the backroom functions as his way to kind of create alternate realities, to create his dream life. So it is a manifestation of his mental state. And it is very interesting for you as an audience to delve into that, because what's the point of Backrooms anyway, without the movie, alright? So the biggest challenge here for King Parson was to create a story, create characters, create character arcs based on around the methods of the Backrooms, and he nailed it. He nailed it because the film is atmospheric, it is unsettling. Although I do have some criticism in the first act of the film where the early exploration parts really drags quite a bit, So the film could have been shortened for like 30 minutes. A good 30 minutes could have been trimmed out and it wouldn't hurt the pacing, right? Because this concept is quite simple and there's a lot of things you can do about it, but it doesn't require the time that this film runs for, This film runs for like nearly 2 hours, 1 hour and 55 minutes, I believe. It could have been shorter. So it is unsettling, it is atmospheric, and when the climax hits, it is nightmare fuel. And what I really like about Backrooms is that finally a film has a new idea, a fresh new idea. Yes, I know that Backrooms has existed, long before this, but as a movie, this functioned as a really interesting, take, a really interesting genre to get on film. And also the fact that this film has a very small budget of just 10 million blows me away, right? Because yes, it doesn't need a lot of CGI, it doesn't need a lot of special effects, but they built everything for real. I was just amazed of how practical the film was. So my criticism for Backrooms mostly is about the runtime and the pacing in the first act. But if you move past that to the second act, the third act is ultimate bonkers. It's absolute bonkers. So if you're patient enough to get to the characters, to get to the first act that is quite slow, quite draggy, you will be rewarded in the second act and the third act. And also, some of the parts of the film are found footage, alright? And I found this found footage element very unique to complement the film because it evokes the sense of the fear of the unknown. I will give Backrooms an 8 out of 10. This is an unsettling, atmospheric, a new kind of horror. I really wanted Hollywood to do more experimental stuff like this, so keep on doing it. I really like the concept, I really like the execution, and mostly this film just works because it really elevates the idea of the fear of the unknown. And also the performances, especially Chiwetel Ejiofor, when he turns into the antagonist later on in the film, his expression, his acting really changes for the better. Alright, so at times the script may not work decently for the actors. Alright, it may not work exceptionally for the actors, but the actors, the performances, Chiwetel Ejiofor and Renee Reinsave, really elevated the film. Alright, so I will give Backrooms an 8 out of 10. If you have seen Backrooms, tell me everything that you know about the Backrooms and inform me of the Backrooms lore. Because, like I said before, I don't know nothing about Backrooms lore. So, please comment down below everything you know, everything you like about Backrooms, and how does the film success could affect Hollywood. Alright, because it made like $360 million, which is huge. It is really surprising, and I really like that this kind of film gets the spotlight this time around.